Hey, welcome, welcome. Boy, this is a wonderful afternoon. I'm sure it's a privilege to have all of you here. And I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to what this vice presidential candidate has to say. How about you? Now, President Obama's supporters like to say 4 more years. I like to say 5 more days. Can I hear it? 5 more days! 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 Oh, it's wonderful. In 5 more days, we're going to be talking about former President Barack Obama. I'll tell you what, this president's policies haven't done us any good here in Nevada. I keep asking the question, where are the jobs? You know, we passed a stimulus. They say they're going to create 65,000 jobs in Nevada. We lost 35,000. Where are the jobs? They passed Obamacare. I asked the same question. Where are the jobs? They asked where the jobs are after they passed cash for clunkers. I continue to ask, where are the jobs? We can go on and on. The stimulus 1, stimulus 2, stimulus 3. Where are the jobs? They're just not here. And I'll tell you today, there are 1 million less Americans working today than there were 4 years ago. 1 million less Americans. And 20% of Nevada's men woke up this morning and didn't have a job. That has to change, and we have change coming. All right. Everybody knows yesterday was Halloween. And like you, a lot of trick-or-treaters. A young man about this tall showed up at my door wearing a Joe Biden mask. And he had a t-shirt, and the t-shirt said, "Everybody's crazy uncle." Well, let's get rid of everybody's crazy uncle. We have someone here. I want to introduce to you a friend of mine. Someone, if he lived in Nevada, would be a hunting buddy of mine. If he lived in Nevada, he'd be a fishing buddy of mine. This is someone who supports the Second Amendment. We serve together on Ways and Means. This guy is an idea man, and he works hard. Please, a warm Nevada welcome to Congressman Paul Ryan and his wife, Jenna.
Man, look at this. Hey, everybody, say hi to my better half, Jana. Nevada, you gonna help us win this thing? Are you going to help us by sending Dean Heller back to the United States Senate? Look, there are 2 kinds of people in politics, beers and doers. I've known Dean Heller a long time. This is a good man. This is a conscientious man. It's an honest man. Let's give Harry Reid a hand and send Dean Heller back to the United States Senate. I tell you, when you see people who say, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I'm going to do, and then they go do that like Dean Heller has, the man deserves to go back. And also, you got Mark Amadei here. That is a man who hit the ground running right away. Thank you, Mark Amadei, for what you've done for Nevada and for our country. I want to thank Brian Krolicki. You've got this great lieutenant governor. Brian Krolicki has done a great job, and he is also here with my buddy from Congress, from Idaho. Thanks for letting him come here. That's Raul Labrador. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Couple of things. Number one, early voting doesn't end till tomorrow. So don't forget you can still get out and early vote. Number two, a handful of states will determine this thing. Nevadans, you understand the place you have. You understand the role you play, the opportunity and the responsibility. Let's take it seriously. Let's make sure that we get those people who may have voted for hope and change because they like the rhetoric but understand it's not working. In a state where you have unemployment above 11%, it's not working. Look, we come together in times of crises. Let's also put in our prayers and our thoughts the people in the Northeast. Let's think about making a donation to Red Cross, redcross.org, and think about those people who are suffering in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. But when you also think about the economic damage, you don't have to look very far beyond the Reno city limits. You don't have to look very far behind the foreclosure rate here in Nevada. You don't have to look at all the underwater mortgages. You don't have to look at the 23 million Americans who are struggling to find a job today. You don't have to look at the fact that we have 15% of our fellow citizens living in poverty today. The economy's limping along. It's growing at less than half the rate President Obama said it would if he could just pass this stimulus plan. This is not what a real recovery looks like. You know, the president can't run on this record. He can't say to Nevadans, look at my record, therefore vote for me. This is why he's running this kind of a campaign of division, of distraction, of distortion, to try and win an election by default. We're not going to let him get away with it, are we? You know, we've been saying all along that he's offered no new ideas, that he's simply offering more of the same, but he did offer a new idea the other day. So I want to give him credit. He said in his second term, in addition to the tax increases on small businesses, in addition to the more borrowing and the more spending, he wants a new cabinet position called the Secretary of Business. You know what? We already have a Secretary of Business. It's actually called the Secretary of Commerce. And guess what? The president's left this position vacant for 4 months, and he hasn't bothered to even appoint somebody to take the position. Look, we don't need a new bureaucrat to get this economy growing. We need a new president, and his name is Mitt Romney. It's pretty simple. That seems to be President Obama's answer. More government, more agencies, more regulations. He's going to spend us into a debt crisis if he gets another term. At a time when we have a jobs crisis, wouldn't it be nice to have a job creator in the White House? Mitt Romney and I believe that it is our obligation to offer you the choice. So you can decide what kind of country you want to have, what kind of people we want to be. We're not just picking a president for 4 more years. We are literally picking a path that will last a generation for this country. And I just got to tell you, on day one, it will look a whole lot different under a Romney administration. We don't need a new Secretary of Business. We need to, on day one, release executive orders putting Obamacare on the path to extinction. We need to cut the red tape and regulations that are strangling small businesses. And we need to allow energy production on our federal lands. This is where we have energy. This is jobs right here. We've got minerals, we've got oil, we've got gas, we've got so much energy in this country. Let's use that energy in this country. Those American energy dollars should put people back to work here. That's point number one in our 5-point plan. Point number two, what about all these people? But I live in Janesville, Wisconsin. We lost our big GM plant in Janesville, Wisconsin, and the plants that fed it. So a lot of the friends that I have from high school who worked at that plant are out of work. That's people who's in their 40s. There are a lot of people who's in their 50s and 60s, just like this, in between jobs with no good jobs that are out there. We need to clear the bureaucracy out of the way, get small businesses growing again, and help them get the skills they need to get the jobs they want so they can get their lives back on the path to prosperity, to pursuing their American dream. And we have to recognize that all this spending and all this borrowing, it's not working. President Obama is going to spend us into a debt crisis if he gets his way. We simply have to stop spending money we don't have. We need to balance this budget. We need to get this debt under control. We have a moral obligation for these children and grandchildren to make sure that they get a debt-free nation and not the one that the president has in front of them. Let's also remember that if we want good jobs right here in Nevada, we got to make more things, produce more things, grow more things, have more beef cattle, sell them overseas. That means we need to open up agreements so that we can sell our products overseas and hold countries accountable when they cheat on us. That's a plan for economic growth. That's a plan to make more things and sell them. But let's never forget that most of our jobs, 2/3 in fact, come from small businesses. Look at what they're facing. Look, where I come from, overseas means Lake Superior. All right? And overseas in Canada, they lowered their tax rate on every one of their businesses to 15% last January. President Obama is promising that if he's reelected, the top tax rate on our small, successful businesses will go above 40% this coming January. That one tax increase doesn't even pay for 10% of his deficit spending increases. But he believes that if we can just tax families more, tax small businesses more, and spend it in Washington, then borrow more money on top, that somehow that's going to work. Look, we would have learned by now if that worked. We have got to get behind small businesses. They're dying in red tape. They're being suffocated with the promise of new taxes. And by the way, if you have a business, if you worked hard, if you scratched, if you saved, if you sacrificed, if you work at a small business, if you work overtime, if you go maybe a few days without a paycheck so they can meet payroll, you built that business. The government didn't build that business. That's what economic opportunity is all about. That's how this economy was built. Look, this is one of those times where we are at that fork in the road, where we really have a clear choice of two futures. And at a moment like this, we need leadership. Look, one of my favorite historians just passed away a few weeks ago, a guy named Rufus Fears. And he said that there are 4 qualities that make a great leader when a nation needs it. A person with a moral compass, a person with a bedrock of principles, like our founding principles, a person with a vision for the country, and the proven ability, the experience, the skills to actually execute that vision. That's the kind of leader we need right now. And friends, that is exactly the kind of leader that Mitt Romney is. We'll be proud to call him our president. We'll be proud to call him our president. We don't have to settle for this. We don't have to settle for mediocrity or what President Obama's best can be. This is not what America's best is. We can grow our economy. We can get those people who used to call themselves middle income, who are now in the poverty rates, we can get them back in the middle class. We can get this economy growing and get people's paychecks growing again so they can get ahead and not just live paycheck but paycheck again. We can grow this economy. Proven pro-growth solutions to get people back to work. You create jobs, people buy houses, our home values go back up, our savings recover. We can make up the lost ground that we've had, but we need the leadership. It's not just this, though. This is one of those elections that we're going to look upon, looking back years from now, as an inflection point for America. This really is the kind of an election that determines the kind of people we're going to be and the kind of country we're going to give our kids. And when you think about this country, whether you are an American by chance or by choice, you're here because you believe in the American idea, the American dream. It doesn't matter who you are or where you came from or how you were born or what circumstances you come from. You can make the most of your life and reach your potential because we love freedom in this country. That's who we are. Look, the American system of freedom and free enterprise has done more to help the poor, more to remove the barriers to allowing people to rise in life than any other economic system ever designed. Why do we want to trade it in for Europe? We want the American dream restored. We want to revitalize that. And when you think about America, it's not just Tahoe or Reno or Vegas or Janesville or Florida or Maine or California. We're not simply a country with a flag. We are an idea. We're the only country founded on an idea. This idea is very precious. It's a precious idea that has to be fought and maintained and secured by every generation. And Thomas Jefferson wrote it so well in the Declaration, you simply can't top it. Our rights as people, they come from nature and nature's God, not from government. That's the essence of the American idea. That's who we are. That's freedom and liberty. Our founders secured it, and each and every generation of veterans since then have made sure that it's passed on to the next generation. And we thank those veterans who are here in this audience for securing it for us. Thank you for what you've done for our country. This is a moment we need to look back and tell our kids and our grandkids we met the moment like it needed to be met. We are asking for your vote. We are asking for your help. We are asking to do this together so that we can make this moment what it needs to be, a time when America gets itself back on the right track. This is the commitment that Mitt and I are making. We are not going to duck these tough issues. We're not going to hide from this debt crisis. We're going to run at our country's problems instead of away from our country's problems. And I tell you what, we're not going to run around this country for 4 years blaming other people. We're going to take responsibility and fix this mess in Washington. And I'll tell you this, we are not going to try to transform this country into something it was never intended to be. We are going to reapply those nation's founding principles. With your help, we can do this. Nevada is crucial. You know it. You can still do early voting. This is one of those times you got to talk to your friends, your neighbors, those people in your lives you know who voted for hope and change, who are disaffected. We can do better than 11.8% unemployment. We can turn this thing around. 5 more days. 5 more days. 5 more days. Look, 5 more days. 5 more days. Mitt Romney and I can take whatever they're throwing at us for the next 5 days, but this country cannot stand 4 more years. Let's make sure it gets done. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you, Nevada. Appreciate it, you guys.